Hello and welcome to Simple Life Philosophy. I'm your host, Ed Raby. This is the channel where you follow along on my journey to finding a simpler philosophy of life that is both simple to understand and execute, that leads me to a productive state of mind that is also a peaceful state of mind. And today I'm finalizing the last part of 9 in the Stoic Viking meditation series where I'm talking about the 9 noble virtues. And a lot of you have already liked this series, you've shared it, you've commented on it. Continue to do so. I'm going to leave the comments on these pretty much open. So whenever you see them, be they when they were first released or even years later, you're always more than welcome to comment on this series, subscribe to the channel, and do the things that you do because it all helps. And this has been actually one of my favorite series to do because it's really helped me solidify the virtues that I'm really after in my own life. And so it really helps me understand myself a little bit better, and hopefully it will help you too. Today we're looking at the last of the 9 noble virtues, which is truth. And truth says this: I seek the truth, even though it may be a hard truth. I speak true words or stand in silence, and I defend the truth from those who do not honor it. There's a lot to unpack here, so this might be the longer video, plus I have some parting thoughts for you on the whole 9 noble virtues series. But I want to start out with that first thing. I seek the truth, though it may be a hard truth. The truth, I think this part of the virtue basically acknowledges one thing about truth. It doesn't always jive with our feelings. It doesn't always basically reinforce what we already believe. A lot of times the truth contradicts what we believe and what we understand, and that's okay. The real thing about honoring the virtue of truth is when you honor the virtue of truth, you're looking for something that is conforming to what is really going on, and it has a little bit of predictive power as to when you know something true, you can kind of see it over and over and over and over again, and you can kind of predict results based on it when you look down the road. It's basically what you're saying is what I've discovered when I discover the truth, and I will continue to seek the truth, is no matter whether it's convenient, if it's offensive, if it's, the emotions when it comes to truth kind of take a very big back seat. And we have to ask ourselves a lot of times whether or not we're going to continue to hold our feelings on something, or we're going to substitute those feelings for what the truth actually says. And I think this is a hard time in our society to do this sort of thing, to stand for the actual value of truth, the character of truth. Because politically and socially, and maybe this has always been true, but politically and socially, it seems that what makes people feel good, or what is least offensive, or whatever is just easy and convenient, seems to be the thing that is substituted for the truth. We'd rather have a comforting lie than the hard truth. Seeking out the truth, even if it contradicts everything we hold sacred, is a virtue. Because if what you believe is true, then it will be bore out by the hard search. We seek the truth. It's an active virtue. In other words, I'm always looking for what is true. I don't believe that I have the truth. But I do believe that I understand and believe many, many truths that have proven themselves to be true. And thus I don't no longer need faith about them. Truth to me is something that you can always have with you, always be there. And it is not relative to my feelings or what I want to be true. You have to really accept the fact that truth is not adjudicated by whether or not we feel right about it. Truth is adjudicated by its ability to describe what is real and predict the future and predict it in truth. And so we seek that out. I'm not looking for something that just placates my feelings. Sometimes the things I've discovered that are true have been very wrenching and have turned my life upside down in some cases. And that's something that we accept if we really want to follow the character of truth. I speak true words or stand in silence. I stand in silence a lot. Yeah, I really do. I'm not trying to make a joke, but the one thing I've learned in my society here in the Western world and in America in particular, people don't want to necessarily hear the truth. So when you speak true words, they tend to get very upset about it. They'll say, I'm offended, or they'll say, I'm angry about that. I don't like that you said that. That hurt my feelings. And a lot of that has more power than what reality is. The real problem, I think, with most societies, perception matters far more than reality, and feelings matter far more than reality. And so a lot of times we just keep our mouth shut because we know that people will not accept the truth. Now, when we are forced to speak or need to speak, we speak true words. We are not here to lie. We're not here to mislead or deceive people. A person who is following truth values the truth for its liberating power. Because there's one thing about the truth, that it will liberate you from, you know, living a false life, living something that isn't true. Um, you know, I often find that when I speak about things, some people say, well, that offends me. And when I have to speak, you know, there's an old argument by Christopher Hitchens that is very, very good. When he was debating people of faith as an atheist, he would say, I'm sorry that I offended you or hurt your feelings, but I'm still waiting for your argument. And that's the real key here. Truth has an argument to it, has a logical argument, has a way of looking at it, whereas feelings do not. You can always feel that something is true. A lot of people, will go about their life, you know, they'll hear the truth that, you know, their lover is being unfaithful, but they will continue to feel, oh no, they would never do that to me, until they find the truth. You know, you can sit there and feel all the right things, but it may not be reality. And when you have to face true words, you have to speak them, or a lot of times it is wiser just to be silent. And that's a very Stoic thing as well as a Viking thing, a pagan thing. Sometimes silence is better. You have to wait. I'm learning a lot from gardening, and one of the things I'm learning is knowing when to do the right thing when. And sometimes when it comes to speaking the truth, you have to be very selective about when you drop it. You have to kind of gauge whether a person is ready to hear the truth. Sometimes they're not always ready, and then they'll reject it simply because their feelings or feelings of offense or whatever just don't jive with it. I think ultimately you have to gauge with a great deal of wisdom when and where to present the truth. Um, I defend the truth from those who do not honor it. This becomes a little bit harder because what truths are you willing to defend? In my case, I feel that a lot of things can be said to be true, and I will defend them. Okay, I think liberty and freedom, for instance, are the best elements of a society. The more liberty and freedom you can give a society without causing the what I would call, shall we say, uh, basically despotism, tyranny. A lot of people confuse anarchism with that, but usually, like what you get when you get an anarchical situation is usually a tyranny of sorts, not true anarchy. An anarchist would not do a true philosophical anarchist will not do violence. Okay, so the real problem is not everybody can live that philosophy, and most people don't, and so it doesn't work. But when you say liberty and freedom in the context of law, the law should be very much unity, equal, very evenly applied, regardless of sex, color, creed, social standing. It doesn't matter. And the more we get away from that, the less valuable society gets. That's something I believe in very strongly, and it's something I would take up arms to defend. If the freedoms of my country were ever assaulted by a despot or somebody trying to take over, yeah, that's something I would fight for. But defending the truth, you have to be very selective about that, what you know to be true. Sometimes a defense of the truth simply means opening your mouth, but like we said before, you have to know the wisdom of when to do that. This is a hard one. It's a very hard virtue because of one other factor that I want to talk about: self-deception. We often deceive ourselves, and we think we know the truth. And here's the little trick to avoiding self-deception: learn to listen to when other people speak. If they're laying out an argument, make sure you truly and genuinely evaluate it. Don't assume that they're wrong and you're right. This is probably the hardest part I dislike about my own society is truth is so much on the back burner to people's feelings. And so it's very difficult to talk and defend the truth because they've created an atmosphere where the truth is not valued. What is valued is so-called feelings of being happy. And the problem with that is I don't think that deals with the real world. The real world does not give two shits about your feelings. The universe does not care about you. And that's the real hard truth that a lot of people just don't want to accept. And I, for one, I'm willing to defend that one too, because I get tired of people manipulating others through feelings, because truth is something that will indeed free your mind from, well, manipulation. You begin to realize, hey, this person's trying to manipulate me. And the fact of the matter is the politicians, the religious figures, the media all use various logical fallacies that we all play along with because, well, it's easier than doing the hard truth. You can either settle for the simple, comforting lies of life, or you can dig into things and find out if they're true. Hear all sides. It's like that. Make sure you're listening to the other side. Make sure you're listening to other opinions. I think the great tragedy in, the extremes of right and left in my own country are they don't listen. They just don't listen to the other side. And the other side might be making a very valid point, but they just don't listen. In order to say that you actually value the truth, you have to understand that a hard truth is a truth that contradicts what you think is true, and you have to at least engage it. And once you engage it and you discover, you know what, that hard truth is actually true and what I used to believe is false, that's when you have to really shift in your mind what it is that you really want to be. Are you going to be about the truth, or are you going to just follow the crowd and do what everybody says feels right? This makes following the virtue of truth very difficult. It is one of the more challenging ones, probably the only one that's more challenging in my opinion, is honor. And because honor and truth kind of go hand in hand, they're kind of, well, two blades, two edges of the sword of doing the right thing. And that's a hard thing to do. This series of all the Nine Noble Virtues, I'm kind of wrapping this up, has been enlightening for me. I realize that I have strong suits in a lot of these virtues. Some of the virtues I'm stronger than others. But even within virtue, there are certain elements I'm strong with and certain elements that I'm weak with. The virtues are not designed like a lot of other religions or even creeds to be absolutes. They're designed to be a constant pulling of growth into something better and growing into something, being a better person. I think that's where pagan philosophy has a lot of superiority to a lot of other philosophies, although I discard the spiritual stuff. A lot of the practical rubber meets the road stuff really works. And it's largely because it's about practicality. It doesn't start with the idea that we're all no good. It starts out, here is where you are, you need to be better. And you get better by following the Nine Noble Virtues. Stoicism says pretty much the same thing. We're here, let's accept the reality of what we can change. And the thing that we can change is the development of more virtue in our life, which will make us better people. Here is where we're at. The goal today is that by tomorrow we'll be better persons than we are today. And I think that, to me, makes a heck of a lot more sense than anything else that I've dealt with. Now, you can disagree, and I will hear your disagreement. You're fully welcome to comment below. Just don't avoid my questions, like some commenters have done in the past. If I ask you a direct question, give me a direct answer as you can. I really honestly want to engage these issues, but it's like I said today with the virtue of truth. I'm going to get to a point where I stand in silence because I don't feel like I'm engaging somebody who's being honest about the engagement of trying to find the truth. And that's what this has all been about, finding the truth, engaging our life with character, being courageous people, being disciplined people, being people that have fidelity for one another, hospitality, work hard, through industriousness, persevere through the anguish, be self-reliant as much as possible so we're not burdens to other people, and always be engaging in, defending in, or speaking for the truth, even when that truth is hard to accept. I want to thank you for stopping by. This has been Simple Life Philosophy with your host, Ed Raby. In particular, this has been Stoic Viking meditations involving the 9 noble virtues. And today we've been talking about truth and sometimes our desire to really actually find it. I want to thank you once again for stopping by. I appreciate if you like, share, subscribe, comment, and getting notified that you do, so keep doing the things. And I appreciate all of that because every little bit is one little step closer to being where I want to be. Thank you, and you have a great day, and enjoy the rest of